Okay, this is the first part of a two-part lecture for the class that we missed yesterday because of the, thank goodness, the storms that weren't as bad as everyone thought they might be. It's pretty annoying because it's the fourth time that I'm recording this part. And I thought I got the last, so the first two times were just from YouTube, but Zoom seems like a better option than just exporting YouTube, so I'm going to do that now. And then last time the mic wasn't working, so. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to do about 10 minutes right now on the memos. I'm going to upload it, make sure it works, make sure that y'all can see it, and then maybe come back tomorrow and do the other part. So I'm not going to have time tonight anyway, I don't think. So I'm going to ask that, and I'll put this in the little instructions. We'll ask that when you reply, I'll just let me know that you were able to see it and hear it, and it worked fine. So we do 10 minutes on the memos right now, and then the next part of the lecture will be probably 45 minutes or so. We'll see how it goes on the assignment, the big assignment, and the chapters as well. Chapters, I think 7 and 8. All right. So first, before we get into that, let me make one more plug. I made a plug already through Blackboard, but I'll make one more plug for this little cover for it. This little simulation that, see the tree, doesn't that look nice? A friend and I started working this a couple of years ago, and we had this idea that their continuing education for nonprofit leadership is okay, but a lot of business schools and a lot of big companies are starting for their management training programs are starting to have simulations because it's a fun, engaging way to learn, and you're learning by doing, and I like that. And so this class is going to be a combination of a simulation of a startup for a nonprofit organization, with also building a portfolio of, each week would be an assignment of 1 to 3 pages, usually 1 to 2 pages. And so by having that, you'll actually be building a portfolio through the semester that you'll be able to have with you and print out and do all that stuff, have electronically by the end of the semester. That'll do 2 things for you. First is that you can use that and kind of wave it around and show people how great you are for your grad school interviews or for job interviews or whatever else. The second thing is these are all going to be templates that you can use, just like the memo. You've got it now. When you have something in the field where you have to get something done, you know, that you're working on a strategic plan, you've got a template for that, and you've done one. And you can use the template to do the next one, just like the memo. So you'll have probably 15 or 16 things in there that'll really be helpful to you throughout your career. So that'll be nice. Richard Simons is the other instructor, and he and I have worked together for a number of years. And combined, we have about 15 years of management experience at a lot of different levels, including the executive level and the board chair and board president level of organizations, both mature and also I did a startup too. So this is coming from a lot of personal experience as well as book learning and field knowledge and that type of stuff. And it'll be fun. It'll be about 12 weeks of simulation and then some group presentations. And it'll be a hybrid class. So what we're going to do Tuesday nights in the fall, meet for about the same amount of time that we're meeting this semester. And then from there, you'll have time. So for example, the first week you'll be doing a 1-page strategic plan for your organization that you're starting up with a couple of your cohort. And so you'll be drafting the strategic plan in class, and you'll be finishing that over the weekend, turning in Monday night, like what I always do, in PDF, always PDF. And then from there, I lost my train of thought. And then from there, you've got your 1-page strategic plan, and you've got the template too that you can use for when inevitably one of your actual real-life friends tries to start a nonprofit, or you get involved in the strategic planning process. You've been through that, you've done it, you've got work product to show for it. And so I think it'll be a lot of fun. So feel free to sign up. I don't know the course number off the top of my head, but if you look online, that's the only class in the fall that I'm signed up to teach. All right, no more about it. The memos overall were good. I've got some feedback for you, but overall, yeah, it was a good job. And okay, so a couple things I want to say about that. The first thing is most of y'all did a good job, but some of you need a little bit of work in terms of how you answer the questions. Whenever you think you're done with an assignment, I would say go back, and this is true for a work assignment, not just a class assignment, but go back and actually look at what the instructions were. Did you complete all of it? So if I asked you 3 questions in this assignment, they were Should you implement a fee? If so, how much? And if not, how are you going to make up the difference? Or you can do some combination of all. It doesn't matter. I just want to see how you thought. But you needed to answer that question. With some of y'all, I wasn't clear on what your answer was, which means that you didn't do a good enough job with the answer if it's not clear what the answer is. So once you're done, go back through and say, what are the 3 checks that I need to hit? Check A. Yeah, actually, you can even see behind me on my board, I do this all day long, check, check, check on stuff. It's a lot of fun to check those off. But did I hit this point, that point, that point? Did I follow instructions 1, 2, 3, and 4? And so if I gave you feedback, and you'll see actually on your forms that I gave each of you individual feedback as well. But say I'm not doing that. Say I'm just rushing through this, and I'm your manager, and this is the 8th thing I've had to do today, and I asked you to give me A, B, and C. And I just want to check to make sure you gave me A, B, and C, and I'll actually look at it later. Can I just go check, check, check? And so that's something to think about when you're editing is, have you answered all the questions in clear sequential order? That will allow you to just keep everybody happy and going forward and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, this is the 4th take. I'm getting a little tired. So again, most of y'all did well. Some of y'all need some work. No big deal. It didn't hurt your grade much or anything like that. But it is important going forward. In clarity is pretty good for the most part. There's some parts that were a little awkward, and I marked down AWK where it was a little bit awkward. That's perfectly fine, not a big deal. But if the sentence construction or the way that things were ordered were making it unclear as to what was actually going on, I put that just so you knew that you kind of losing me there. Keep it formal. Had fewer problems with this semester than previous semesters, but there's a language that we use when we talk, the oral language, and there's the written language. And even professionally, the language that we talk with is going to be a little bit less formal. So it should be more formal when you're actually writing it. So there would be certain phrases, for example, that you would use in conversation, even in professional conversation, that you wouldn't use on a memo. So for example, if you're losing money, you wouldn't refer to it as a whole, you'd say it's a deficit. Or you wouldn't say that you're short, you would say that there's a budget deficit, for example. Again, not a big deal, but just keep the memo stuff. Keep everything in writing, including all emails, professional, to the point. And imagine that emails are always going to get out and be seen by the news and by your parents and whoever else. So keep everything kind of as professional and succinct and tight as possible. Again, not a huge deal. Actually, that was not a big deal at all. But it's a little thing that it's easy to overlook, and no one will probably ever tell you that, but it just may matter at some point. Some of y'all, well, actually, most of y'all did a good job of putting hard numbers in these. So number of staff, number of clients, how much money the agency lost, how much the total budget was, all that kind of stuff was good. This is helpful not only to keep things clear and straight, but it also actually, putting numbers in there actually helps break up the text. So if I'm reading a bunch of stuff and blah, 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 I see a couple numbers, it's going to visually break, and I won't go blah, 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 but maybe your manager said it, right? It's going to break it up for them. So I would say, if you got an average size paragraph, make sure you're putting maybe 4 to 5 numbers in there if they're appropriate. If not, don't worry about it. But you certainly could for this one because it was heavily quantitative, the assignment. And I did that on purpose just because it's easy to, when you get quantitative, it makes things pretty precise and it brings things into focus as well. Some of y'all didn't go too heavy on that. That's okay. Just make sure you've got all the pertinent information in there. And make sure that you're stating your decision or your professional judgment in a very clear way, clear and quantitative way. I think we should do X with Y number of clients or staff because of Z. And that's going to, provide, that's going to yield however much in revenue or whatever else. In our world, we say revenue, we don't say profit because we're nonprofits, and if we have extra revenue, it goes back into expenses. So just give them that habit. No one did it, but on this assignment, but just so you know, revenue, not profit. There were some people who made some assumptions in here that may not be true from my perspective, and that's okay. I mean, there's if you don't know, and I've made assumptions that turn out to not be true also. But just be careful about the assumptions that you're making. When you're making declarative statements about what is or isn't, do your homework, make sure that you can stand behind it. there might be a difference of opinion, but a lot of that stuff you can just catch if you check. So, do I have any assumptions here? Let me go check those, and let me go fact check them. Always fact check everything you can. I mean, Google's the, just spend 30 seconds Googling, or 2 minutes, or 5 minutes, or whatever. The last thing is, and this was actually a bigger deal, so I need y'all to work on this, is the formatting. Don't let imperfect presentation get in the way of a really good idea. So was your spacing consistent between the different paragraphs? Were your headers consistent? Were you using the same font? In some cases, the answer was no for this. So, and it's a dumb thing to kind of get boinked on the head for, but at the same time, it can be distracting, and you don't want this stuff to be just distracting from what your good ideas are. So you want to be able to. Here's what I do. When you think you're done, put it down, go walk the dog, get a meal, or talk to a loved one or whatever else. Take about half an hour to an hour off. Come back to it. The first pass when you come back to it, don't actually look at what it says. Just look at how it looks. 30-second scan for a one-pager, maybe 2 to 3 minute scan for your longer papers, whatever it takes you. Not long at all. Does this look right? Do I see, are there like formatting? Are the tabs in different places? Is the spacing consistent? Are there any errors or different things like that I can see as well? Are all the headings with the body? What you don't want is to have the heading on the bottom of one page, and then the paragraph actually starts the next page. That's not cool. So just look for those types of things. If you have trouble because you've seen it so many times, then bribe a friend or a loved one to look at it for you. Buy them a meal, or whatever, a drink or whatever. But just make sure that the aesthetics or the way something looks doesn't get in the way of the idea. Aesthetics aren't going to make your piece, but they might break it. So not a huge deal because this was the first one, but that's something that I don't want to see on your papers going forward, is a lot of formatting and grammatical inconsistencies. I pointed them out where I saw them, but just so you all know. And again, it's about letting the idea come up and not letting anything distract. Whether that's right or wrong, it's the way it is. When your boss is looking at something, or when the board's looking at something. So you don't want to give them any ammunition to shoot your idea down for some reason that could have been easily corrected. So this would, again, just help you kind of shine through. All right, so again, good job on this. This is the end of the first part. I'll make the second part probably tomorrow. And I hope everyone stayed warm and dry. Thanks, y'all.